I'm really excited to dive into the results. We had 12 people participate in the poll, and I have not looked at them yet. So you're going to see the responses as I see the responses. And it should be really exciting because I'm really excited. And a lot of these people are my friends. So how bad could their responses have been? All right, welcome back to the Bite Guild. Today I'm going to be going over the results of the poll that I created to try and determine what video game we're going to build. Again, just for clarity's sake, two things. The game we're going to be building is not necessarily meant to be fun. I know, it's a game. Games are supposed to be fun, but it's mostly about the education around the software development that is going to go into crafting the game. And then secondly, it is not going to be me teaching you how to build video games. When I was a grad school adjunct professor, I did teach classes on game development because I was in the game development field. I worked on a couple of AAA first-person shooters, social games, mobile games, but I'm not teaching game development here. Maybe in the future, completely separately, I could, but this is mostly about software development. So I'm not going to go in and really craft game-specific technologies. And when I start talking about the tech we're going to use to build the game, it'll be very evident that it is not meant to be like stuff you're going to take and then go and use to apply to a game company to get a job. All that being said, it should be a bundle of fun, and I'm really excited to dive into the results. We had 12 people participate in the poll, and I have not looked at them yet. So you're going to see the responses as I see the responses. And it should be really exciting because I'm really excited. And a lot of these people are my friends. So how bad could their responses have been? All right. So here are the results of the poll. So first off, what type of text game are we going to be building? It looks like an adventure game won out, which I'm really excited about because I, out of all these options, would rather build an adventure game, something like Zork, delving into a dungeon or going through rooms of some type, basically an RPG for lack of a better explanation, some type of game where we get to play as a character experiencing an environment. So I think that's going to be really cool. It's very classic and totally doable. And actually, when I used to teach kids, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I used to teach in a private school in Manhattan for 7 to 11-year-olds that were 2E, twice exceptional. And I used to actually teach them in C# how to build text adventure games because I thought it was like really simple to kind of just get started and also like a real programming language instead of one of these toy programming languages that's out there, so that they get real exposure to the structure of code. Okay, so adventure game. Very excited. What should the protagonist be? We have college students, something relatable but exotic. Dwarves. I mean, I love dwarves. Bees, which also very cool. Zombies. Zombies are good. Some rando millennial. That'll satisfy some people. Then we have this very long one. And again, this is all first blush, so I haven't even read these. Ancient human or humanoid creature alone in a primal environment with basic tool-making skills, who's been outcast from his tribe, or is the last remaining survivor of some attack/disaster. Okay, that's very specific. I love it. Your mother. Interesting response. Not sure if that's directed directly at me, like my mother, or your mother, meaning one's mother. Protagonist, make protagonist face. This is officially the internet. We have achieved maximum internet. An elf. Excellent. Wookiees and dwarves. The ultimate combination, might I note. Wookiees and dwarves. I mean, come on, that's like a winner. Anthropomorphic food. Food that has come to life. Cool. We're good with this. Antagonist. Various hostile underwater creatures. Could be zombie mutants of normal underwater creatures, though. Okay, I like this. Relatable but twisted. Nice and broad. Tieflings. All right. And Wizards of the Coast might have something to say about that. Wasps, mice, other bees. Varroa mites, wax moths, small hive beetles, bears. Jerk children, uncareful beekeeper. Wither. All the things. College students. I mean, I guess I did put college students on here, and apparently, yeah, that's fair. College students, it is. People being, I will rephrase this, jerks. The deadly environment, predators, venomous creatures, geological pitfalls, and the need to find food, water, and shelter. Somebody really wants to structure this game to be a survival game. Andrew, me. Somebody wants it to be me. I mean, yeah, I think generally if someone took a class with me, they'd probably see me as the antagonist in grad school. That makes sense. Goblins. I mean, I love goblins. A political party on the certain spectrum of politics. That one we're going to leave out. Not going to touch politics with a 8-foot pole, which maybe will be an item that we include in the game. Hungry people. I understand hunger. Hunger is harsh. You don't want to see me when I'm hungry. What environment? Underwater caves. Oh, underwater caves sound great. That'd be super cool. It'd be super fun to explore underwater caves. Cityscape. I mean, yeah, sure, fine. Cities. Probably Manhattan if you're going to do that one. So if that does come up, if we maybe negotiate it in whatever randomizer we use, then definitely Manhattan, because Manhattan's the place I feel comfortable with. Underground arguably could still be Manhattan, the subway, but who knows? Woods, forests, the city. Ooh, I see a trend here. A primal world, possibly tropical jungle or dense forest. Under my bed. Now, my question is here, under your bed or under my bed or under one's bed? Your butt. Yes, we are on the internet. Woods. Forest planet of Kashyyyk. I think George Lucas might have something to say about that. Mansion with giant kitchen. Now, my brain, for some reason, read this as mansion with giant chicken, which, let's face it, that'd be pretty baller. What theme? Fantasy, urban fantasy, modern, caveman versus nature. Again, very directed. Despair and sorrow. Hockey, but everyone has battle axes. Isn't that just hockey as is? I guess. Fantasy, an amalgam of everything. Fantastical steampunk nights with space travel. Culinary. Yeah, assemble your ingredients and text adventure, goodness, and fight dwarves. Special weapons. Meh. The meh is strong with this one. Gloves of empathy. The wearer instinctively knows the feelings, motivations, and justifications of whomever they are touching. That'd be moderately elaborate in a text adventure, but doable, I guess. Enchanted War Axe, always a classic. Pheromones, sounds good to me. Laser that turns zombies, protagonists, back to life. Quick wit. Very, we're going to have a novel of a text adventure. Basic crafting, upgrades as you find suitable materials. You can start with a rock, craft it into a hand axe, then into a stone axe, then use that to craft a spear, and eventually a bow and arrow. Someone really wants this to be a survival crafting game. I don't know if we have time for a survival crafting game. A can of La Croix, the seltzer. A can of seltzer. I mean, I'm good with that. That's good choice. Twitter. I mean, no super weapons here. Twitter is definitively a super weapon. Paralysis magic. Okay. Wookiee bowcaster. All right. I see. A rock to damage teeth. And then people who'd like a shout out. I am going to give you a shout out. And this explains some things. David Pfeffer. Seymour Butts. I think Seymour Butts was attempted to be elected president on multiple occasions. Zaster Quill. Carl. Empty. Joker. Nimrod. Thanks, Nimrod. Lord Admiral Basic. Empty. Buchabak. And Will. All right. Thanks, everybody, for all that wonderful information that we can use to construct a game. So what we are going to do from here. So now that we have that, I've never used PollJunkie before, so I'm used to using Google Forms, but I didn't want to use Google Forms because I wanted people to be able to submit data more anonymously and feel more comfortable about submitting it than through a Google form necessarily. So Google Forms gives you a sheet, and then a sheet you can save to a comma separated value. I don't have that here, so we're gonna have to do some manual data entry, which means I am going to probably create a JSON file, and we'll read in that JSON file. So that's how we're gonna start off. I think it should be super exciting. I haven't set up anything for coding live at all whatsoever yet, so we are going to do that, and we're going to begin. We're just going to write a little bit of code. Let me clear what this is. Don't save. So I am going to start off in Whistle. Let me get this showing. So we are going to start off in the Linux subsystem for Windows inside of Visual Studio Code, which is what I'm going to be using. And everything I write for this series is going to be using Node. And the version of Node I have here is 10.16.3, which does not seem like that's correct. I should have nvm use LTS. So this should give us the latest stable version of Node, the long-term support version. Now using Node 14.15.5. So Node -- version 14.15.5. Okay. That's great because I think there were some features added in 14 that I generally will want to use, like knowledge coalescing and stuff. What does that mean? We'll get there eventually. Okay, so I should have, a repositories folder, and I'm going to make a folder in here for our chooser, whatever we're going to call it. So make directory, text, do we want dashes or underscores? Text, adventure, chooser. So we've created this directory. We're going to change directory to it. We have text, adventure, chooser. And I'm going to open it in Visual Studio Code as well. Computer. Oh, I thought I symlinked this. Oh, I symlinked it on a different. It's in fast storage. Yes. Okay. Here we go. Text adventure chooser. This is gonna open that folder. And you can see there's nothing in it. So what I'm going to do is in Whistle an npm init. And this is going to create us just a package.json that we can install utilities into so that we can have some code that we want to execute. Package name, adventure chooser. Version 1, description, a chooser of adventures. Entry point, we're going to have a run.js file. Test command, we're not going to have a test command. Git repository, no git repo yet. Maybe I'll add one up later so you can see what it is. Author, yeah, fine. Nobody byte, guild. License, MIT, is this okay? Yeah, go ahead. So what that's going to do for us is should just generate a package.json. Yep, we have a package.json. Oh, I didn't go to the right location. All right, move package.json to repositories and text adventure chooser. I just assumed it would start in the correct location, but it apparently did not. All right, text adventure chooser. And we have this package.json. It basically contains nothing. There's this test script. You can execute that with, let me make this a little larger just in case you need. npm run test. I don't have anything installed. No test specified, right? Because that's what this says. And it exits with a status code of 1, which is an error code. 0 means that the process completed successfully. Anything non-zero means it's an error code. And the reason it's non-zero is so you can use different codes to indicate different types of failures. So great, we're going to remove this because we don't need it. Instead, we're going to have npm run random. And random will just do a node of run.js. And you're going to see me spam Control S. I think I actually have this all set up too. I keep Visual Studio Code usually set up to autosave, but maybe I don't on this one because I don't think I've played around. Let me see. Yeah, this one doesn't autosave. It's like the bane of my existence and also the best thing ever. I usually have VS Code set to autosave, so as you type, it's automatically saving to disk, which is great unless you have a whole bunch of watches set up. So like you watch the code to check if it changes to reload the server. It's not going to work if you have autosave on. All right, so we now need a run.js file. And anytime I'm building anything, a couple of things, I'll put run.js in C++ style comments. And yeah, so at the top, I like to indicate the name of the file and then the purpose of it, usually right below it. So the purpose of this is, oh, and I don't have any white spaces showing because I haven't changed any of this. Oh, what's our theme? Preference, color theme. Dark, no, Monokai. Boom, okay, that's a little better. I wonder if that's better for you. Theme. What looks good? Okay, I mean, definitely not a light theme. Oh, my eyes are on fire! Wow, yeah, that's blue. Sorry, play along with me. Maybe we'll just use the default because that felt like it was pretty easy to see, especially with the green for the comments like that. Okay, so purpose of the file right beneath the comment that indicates the name of the file. Entry point for generating a random text adventure. Great. And we're also going to have in here data.json. Wow, most generic name ever. Yeah, that's fine. Data.json. And this is going to be a JavaScript object notation file of key value pairs, essentially, that will define the raw information that we use to generate our game. And that's all going to come from this, the responses. So I'm going to move this over to my other monitor so that you're not going to see it. And then we're going to do some data entry. So we're going to fill this in real quick. We have protagonist. That's going to be a key of protagonist and then an object. And oh, you know what? We're going to make this an array because that makes sense. Well, nice and simple because we're just going to do a random choice from the array. So we have protagonist as an array. We'll have antagonist as an array as well. Other options that we have, environment. And theme. And special weapon. I'm going to keep this as, yeah, it's fine. Actually, you know what? We can handle a series of characters that include a space as a key. It's not really a big deal. It's fine. There's multiple ways to do this. I generally like being able to support dot operations from data, so I kind of prefer this. Okay, we'll get rid of the space. So the difference is, real quick, because we're going through, right? If I have a key and an object, something like this, and we have special weapon, because that's what we were doing. So if it is that, and we can also have protagonist here. Protagonist. Right? So here's my object. Now, if I have the first style where there is no space, then I can do choices.protagonist. Right? And I can just log that out. And the nice thing about this is I can use the dot notation to index into the object. For the second one where I have special weapon, I cannot do choices.special space weapon. That's just not viable in the language. It recognizes this space as a special character that will be used to discriminate between parts of a statement. So if I leave in an underscore, it can continue to be part of one key for property in the object. All right, so deleting that, just a quick explanation as I'm going on about why I'm going to keep in this underscore. Special weapon, and that's it. That should be all of the fields we have. We should be able to relatively quickly, I should be able to relatively quickly fill this in. Protagonists. College student. Fine. We're going to skip some of these that would be more challenging to explain or do. We're not going to use like millennial, for example. Ancient human creature alone in primal environment. Basic tools. Okay. Elf. I know. I'm making it more vanilla. Wookiees, dwarves, food. Okay, skip over some of these. Some of these would just be more challenging, and I'd have to sit really for a long time and be like, how do I make this in a thing that works? So I'm going to choose options that are simple, let's say. One of them says various hostile underwater creatures could be zombies, mutants of normal underwater creatures, though. That works if we're underwater, so I'm just going to kind of generically say environmental. I know, general. Tiefling, we're going to skip. One of them is like wasps, mice, wax moths. We're going to use insects. I know it gets into things that are not insects, but we're going to use insects for simplicity. College students. College students versus college students. Classic. The deadly environment. Okay, so I have environment. A cabal of child blood drinking lizard people who like raves. I must not have read that one because I'm just now realizing it's here. Lizard people. We're gonna lizard people. Thank you. Lizard people sounds great. We're gonna skip over that one just because, yeah, it's opinionated. Hungry people we're also going to skip over because it'll get me on a rant about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Environment. So environment, we have underwater caves, which I like because I think that is super cool. Underwater caves. I'm hoping that gets chosen. We have the city. We have underground. We have woods. Slash forest, we're going to call it the woods. Forest, woods, synonymous. Under my bed. You know, we're going to do that. Under the bed. Woods. Forest. Mansion with giant kitchen. Mansion. I like mansion. Mansion would be really cool to do too. All right, so then themes. It seems like we can devolve this to fantasy, urban, modern, yeah, and we'll leave it at that. Special weapons. I know everybody's upset. I'm making this super vanilla, right? My game. It's my game. Gloves of empathy. I mean, we could work at that. Gloves of empathy. That's a hard one, but we'll leave it in. War axe. Sure. I choose to spell it with an E. Pheromones. No. Laser that turns zombies back to life. Sure. Healing ray. Ray. Quick whip. Basic crafting upgrades. Can of LaCroix. I like the can of seltzer. It's a very special weapon. Paralysis magic, wiki bowcaster, a rock to damage teeth. Okay. So we shall keep it with our beautiful data set that we have here. Now we need to load this in, and I may make mistakes in general with all this, right? Real quick, this is live, meaning that I'm not sitting and building it beforehand and then going and following some pattern. I'm going to do things like, okay, so I need the file system. Const fs equals require fs. which should get me the file system in Node, using Node. And I'm going to put a console.log here of hello world. I should have done that from the beginning. I like having hello world whenever I'm building anything, no matter what I'm building. So if I'm building something for the screen, something for the backend, a service, anything, I usually do a hello world. So the first message I send back and forth between a client and a server is often hello world. Hello world is just super useful. So what do we call it? Random, npm run random. Hello world, great. So the file system comes for free. I don't need to import anything else in order for us to do this. And we actually should just be able to pull up our file. So choices equals fs.read file sync. So I'm gonna read the file synchronously, partially because I don't want to get into asynchronicity and partially because this is just a little tiny script. And read file sync is going to let me pass in the name of the file, which is data. I think I should just be able to do data.json. It probably indexes off of the current path, I think. And I also think I should be able to specify UTF-8, which will bring in as a string. And then we can do a JSON.parse. And JSON.parse, what it will do is it will take that string that we have read in and convert it over to a JavaScript object. So this should work. We can get rid of this hello world. Retrieve data as an object of keys. Thanks of data to arrays of choices. So we'll pull in those choices, and then all we're going to do is a console.log of the choices. That way we can confirm that we successfully loaded them in. Hey, look at that. We have our data all right here. We also could have done this, right? We could have done this and gone to run, start debugging. And I think if we do, I don't know what the difference between legacy and preview is. Preview. Allow access. Oh, I need to set this up. Okay, we'll set that up for another time. It's no big deal. I'll set it up so we can actually do proper debugging another time. For now, we know it's working. So we have our choices. We need to be able to get a random choice. So we're going to have function get, and I have to choose what style of code I want to write. Get random or get random. I coded too many styles for different places. Get random from array. So this is going to be a function, helper function. Given an array will return a random element from the supplied array. So this is going to go in, grab a random index, and then return from that random index. So you should be able to do something like this. Index equals, and I always mess up this math. Math.random, I always forget, times array.length. So that'll be the array.length, and I think we need to do, is it math.round or math.floor on this? I think math.round. And what I'm just going to do is return the index for now. I know that's not what the documentation says. We're going to do a console.log of get random from array, and we'll do choices.protagonist. And just see if this works or crashes. Did it crash? Unexpected token. Oh, hey, look at this. Damn, cool. One's a good number. 4. How many choices do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 is good because it indicates the last index. So we should also be able to get a 0, right? 4s, 3s, lots of 4s. This is 4, 3, 3. I wonder if this is, there we go, and a 0. All right, we're good. We've manually tested enough of the range to make sure that I remember how to get a random index. Cool. So now given an array, we'll return the index. Okay. So we index into our array at the position supplied, which is going to be from 0 to n-1, where n is the length of the array. I'll explain this one more time. So we have our length of the array. If I have an array with 5 elements in it, the length will be 5. I do math.random, which is 0 to 1, inclusive of 0, but not inclusive of 1, I believe. So returns a pseudo number between 0 and 1. If I'm not mistaken, it goes to like 0.999 or something like that. We're then going to do a math.round. This rounds it to the nearest integer. And I'm trying to remember if this should be a floor. I mean, we didn't get a 5 in testing, right? What's the last one of this? Elf. This, I think, is going to work totally fine doing a floor. Yeah. We'll do the floor. So we have our random from array. And let me take a step back where I was. We have our length, we get the random, we do a floor, which is going to take the lower value. So if we have like let's say we have 0.5 times the length, right? That's going to be 2.5 in this case, because 0.5 times 5 is 2.5. And that means it'll devolve to a 2, whereas I believe a math.round will do a 3 on that because it uses integer math. We're going to confirm math.round 2.5, 3. Okay, so math.floor of a 2 is going to give me 2, and math.random gives me some large random, again between 0 and 1, inclusive of 0, I believe, but not inclusive of 1. So you can see, like, we get relatively close. So the big thing I was thinking about here is if you have like math.round of 0.99 times 5, we get 5, right? And that's what I would like to avoid. So we have this number right here. So, like, could I Google this? Yeah, I could Google this, right? And normally I would, but I want to show you that you don't have to Google everything, okay? You can just write code to test your assumptions. So if I have a math.round of this one, this is 0.99, and we do it by 5, we get 5. And if we attempt to get index 5 of our array, copying that array in real quick, we have protagonist, this array right here, const pro equals, okay, so we have this one. If we did a pro of 5, we get undefined because there's nothing at that index in memory right now, right? So we have 0, the first one right here. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no 5th index, even though we have a length of 5, right? Because we're 0 indexed in JavaScript. So by doing the math.floor, if we take that same one, we round down, right? So when this ends up being whatever the value of this is, oops, hitting my microphone, we end up with 4.97. And instead of rounding up to 5 like an integer would do, because it's past the half point, past or equal to the half point, we end up with it going down. I know everybody who has a CS degree right now or has done basic programming is like, yes, we get it. But I'm just going on for everybody who hasn't. Okay, cool. So we have that in our function over here. So we know this is going to work. We know it's going to work because we went through, we tested our code, we thought through our code as we were writing it. We confirmed it by writing code that confirms it and playing around with the code. We're not just making an assumption. We could have written a unit test, but this is meant to be a quick script that I'm going to throw away famous last words. So now we have protagonists, antagonists, etc., etc., etc. What I'm going to do is we're going to have keys, which is going to be object.keys of choices. This gives me the keys of the object, which are protagonist, antagonist, environment, theme, special weapon. And now what we want to do is go and choose one of each. So we are going to do a keys.forEach, and we're going to use an arrow function, key. We're going to grab a choice. We're going to say const choice equals get random from array of choices key. So taking it from the inside out, here's our object that contains keys of, right? Keys of these and values of arrays of strings. So here we're taking this, we're going to go for each one of the keys. So starting off with protagonist, then antagonist, etc. So for protagonist, it's going to go and grab the array, right? We're indexing in. The value of this part of the statement is going to be an array. That's going to get passed to get random from array, which is then going to go through and perform the math we decided before, index in, and retrieve a random element from the array. That will be assigned on the left-hand side to choice. And now what we're going to say is something nice and simple. Console.log of, we can do key and choice. What this will do is it'll print out key, the string, whatever the string is for key, so protagonist, space, colon, space, and then the string that was chosen from that array. So we are going to confirm it. So we end up with protagonist, zombie, antagonist, insects, environment, under the bed, theme, urban, special weapon, healing ray. Okay. I didn't expect the first one to be so good. I did not expect the first one to be so good. Oh, this is good. Oh, I have ideas. It's kind of wonderful. I'm going to take this. And we're going to save this, okay? Because this so far is magic, and I want to make sure we keep track of the magic. So there's our first magic. I have ideas aplenty related to this. I don't know if you're as giddy as I am. I think I'm envisioning it, right? So I'm very excited. All right. So then we have zombies, insects, mansion, modern, war axe. I mean, random happenstance that was the same. Bees, goblins, under the bed, modern, gloves of empathy. Nothing striking me. Dwarfs, the environment, city, urban, seltzer. I mean, that sounds like a great game to me. It's just not as good as the zombie insects under the bed in urban environment with a healing ray. I mean, you can't beat that. All right. Elf, insects, woods, fantasy, seltzer. Okay, that, you know what? I think we have to just go with the first one. I never thought this would happen. I thought I was gonna have to like keep hitting the randomizer until I was like, okay, I can do this one. But I'm really excited by being a zombie that's fighting insects under a bed in an urban environment with a healing ray as our special item. So I mean, that's what we're gonna do, right? Yes, that is indeed what we're going to do. I thought this would take longer. All right. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. This code was super easy. I'm going to add a couple more comments to it real quick before I call it an end to the video. Just so that if I do upload this code, you have the commentary, right? Iterate over every property that needs a choice. Get a random element from the array and log the pair category. We're going to call every category. Category colon, we'll make this a string. Category colon choice to console. All keys for the choices. We're going to call these categories for simplicity. In fact, we're going to rename this to categories. I think that's crucial that we rename them to categories. That way it's more evident. And if I'm using that word category repeatedly in the code, in the commentary of the code, then it should also be used in the code as well. We want sameness throughout. It's important to have cohesion of thought. So if you call something a category somewhere, you should prefer to continue calling it category throughout the code, even if that somewhere is in the commentary. The commentary in code is meant to enrich the reader's experience of the code. So if you find that calling it a category enriches your experience as you read the code, then you should probably call it a category in the code as well, so that it's just easier when you're looking at the code. It's one-to-one relationship, it's very apparent, and you're not going and creating a whole bunch of dissonance of choice. Okay, that's it. We wrote very little code, about 24 lines of code, and we went and came up with game design, and not like all the nuts and bolts, but enough that I can go and create a design document and we can figure out what we're going to do from there. So I'm really excited, and thanks for watching Bite. What are we called? Bite Guild. Bite Guild. Bite Guild. It's new. It's a new channel. It's a new channel. I don't know what I'm doing. Welcome to Bite Guild. Thanks for watching.